I'm going to teach you how to set up your workouts so that you're never overly sore, you're recovering on time, and you're getting stronger, faster, and better at a more rapid rate. Most people are setting up workouts and they're just doing too much work. They're doing circuits every single day, they're doing strength work every other day, or sprint work on these days, and then they're playing on the opposite days. And if you look at their calendar, their weekly, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, they're doing something pretty intense on all those days. You're either that person or you're the person that's just not training at all because you don't really know where to start. There's usually no real in between, and I'm going to give you that in between today. I was trying to help a client. I was teaching about what I'm going to teach you today, the high-low model, and I was trying to explain it better to them so that they could understand what it's about and why it's highly popularized. And I came upon this article that explained it very well, and I want to walk you through that as well. So let's actually just dive into this article because it's going to explain it really well. So I'm going to show it up on your screen too. Okay, so looking here, properly programming workouts for athletes using the high-low training system. So I like this training system. I like this model because, well, one, it was highly popularized back in the day, probably over 20 years ago by Charlie Francis. You'll see here, he's a famous sprint coach, one of the best sprint coaches out there, and he's very smart. He's researched and published many articles, and a lot of people in my profession at high levels have used his work. So relative proportion of total motor units involved in training activity. So the high-low model is pretty much talking about high CNS work and low CNS work. CNS meaning central nervous system. So things that are going to tax your central nervous system at a high rate and things that are going to tax it at a lower rate. And what we want to do is really differentiate between those two. And pretty much what the high-low model is, how can I create a training plan and a training week based off of like a high CNS day followed by a low central nervous system day. So one day being like, sprints and back squats and heavy strength work. And the next day followed by more lower CNS movements like movement flows, mobility work, maybe upper body lifts, core work, those kinds of things. So why we want to do this, like even just looking at this chart, but why we want to do this is we don't want to be like in the yellow every day because then you're not really like training hard enough and then you're never really recovering. You're just literally moderate all the time. And that's the last thing we want to be is we want to train hard. We want to do sprint work. We want to do strength work so that we can tear our muscles, right? Like when we're training, we want to break down our muscles and then give them time to recover and repair. But if we're just doing this yellow, right, we're just living in the yellow and then living in this moderate zone all the time, we're never really training hard enough to get better and we're never really recovering from it because the next day we're doing it again. So some exercises, if you're looking here, probably like, it's not like super great, but like I'll zoom a little bit. You'll see like in the blues are like, pretty low central nervous system taxing, pretty low taxing things like arm curls, right? Bicep curls, triceps, extensions. Those are easy add-ins pretty much at any time, and they're not going to like overly tax your system. So like, the feeling, I want to say this, of when you are, you wake up and you're like, man, I'm not sore at all, but I'm kind of fried. Like I am just fried. Like I'm taxed. I'm not tired. I'm not sore, but I'm just like, man, I'm beat. That's when your central nervous system is beat up, right? Maybe you had a heavy sprint work or heavy competition the day before. That's central nervous system fatigue. Okay. So doing curls and arm work, that's not going to fatigue your central nervous system. So like that's in the blue, right? Isolated supplemental exercises, triceps, extensions, curls, maybe some like light, shoulder work that's using low weight. And then looking at the yellow, military press, like this is pretty much like upper body exercises. It's a little bit more taxing, but not very, right? Bench press, military press, seated rows. Even if you're going like very heavy on bench, it's not going to tax your CNS very much because it's not a large enough muscle group as a whole to really fry up your central nervous system. Seated rows, lat pull downs, pretty much all this upper body work is here, like bigger upper body work, I should call it, where this is just like arms and smaller muscles, right? You're doing some forearm work. You're not really like taxing the system. And then we get into the orange here. We're looking at deadlifts, Romanian deadlifts, squats, reverse hypers, good mornings. These are more compound full body movements, deadlifts and squats, right? Like this is kind of close to the red that are way more taxing, right? I'm typically even pushing this closer, probably in the red. I would have made that color red because these are more taxing and especially, if you're going heavy on these, especially deadlifts and squats, it's definitely going to be a high taxing exercise that is going to fry your central nervous system in a good way. And when I say that is good. So then we're moving even more to the left, like jumps, explosive and elastic work, right? So plyometric jumps, medicine ball throws, right? Being explosive, not like repetitive bouts, right? So when I talk about these things, anything like in a rhythmic or it feels more like endurance or cardio, if you're getting super out of breath during any of these exercises, it's not going to be as taxing to your CNS because we're talking about maximum effort bouts here. So our heavier bouts. So like I'm saying, like elastic and explosive plyometric jumps, explosive. They also put that in there just to make sure, right? Medicine ball throws, max effort sprints. You see that's all the way in the 100. So max effort sprints is one of the most central nervous system taxing exercises out there. Clean and jerks, right? These are Olympic power, like powerlifting Olympic movements that are very taxing as well, because they're like a high strength bout in combination with a high power bout. It's just like, it's a true max effort bout, because each time you're moving the bar as fast as possible, whether it's, 100 pounds on there or 400 pounds, you're moving it as fast as possible. So it's a max effort bout. So as you look through this chart, you'll see, like, on the left, very taxing exercises, to the right, less taxing exercises. So when you're programming, or when you're creating a plan for yourself, you want to choose exercises, for the most part, that are your primary exercises on one day, and then low CNS on the next day. So looking at this chart, this is a pretty good one too here, just like running velocity and how you can like categorize those kinds of things of like what's high and low intensity. I'll let you kind of run through that if you like. You can pause. But what I want to do is I want to kind of like show you how to create your own week and how to create your own training. So high demanding movements, max effort sprints, med ball throws, right? Plyometric jumps, lower body compound movements. Those are going to be high demanding exercises. So when you're creating a plan and a week of training for yourself, these are going to be high demanding exercises. So one, they want to be early in your day, early in your workout. You don't want to be doing max effort sprints at the end of your workout. Ever. You always want to be doing them early. After your warm-up, that should be one of the first things you're performing, because it's not going to be max effort if you're doing them at the end. Explosive medicine ball throws, early. Plyometric jumps, early. Lower body compound movements, early. But out of all of these, you always want to put sprints first, then you, just like the list is, medicine balls next, plyometric jumps, and then compound strength. Anything that is speed or power work at the top, and then more like strength work towards the bottom after it. Okay. But high demanding movements always are at the beginning of your workout. Low demanding movements, tempo runs, upper body movements like we talked about, isolated supplemental exercises, and then mobility and movement circuits. These are all low demanding exercises that could be all in the same day. You could do a full day full of tempo runs, right? It's like 75% effort. You're literally trying not to run at max effort. Upper body movements, you could have an upper body day. So you could do a lower body day followed by an upper body day. So that it's high, low, different ways, but these are low demanding movements. This was made for baseball players and whatnot. Real quick, guys, if you're interested in optimizing your life, just like we've done Anna Bright's and hundreds of other players, drop down in the show notes below, click the link, and let's get a call on the schedule. This is for people that are looking to optimize their life for pickleball. Your fitness, your nutrition, your health, your habits. You need a system, you need accountability, and you need somebody with you every step of the way. That's exactly what we're going to do. Drop down in the show notes if you're interested, click the link, and let's get a call scheduled with my team. All right, guys, back to it. So if I were to create a weekly training schedule and I wanted to follow the high-low model, right? Let's say a high CNS day on Monday, high, low, Tuesday, Wednesday, high, Thursday, low, Friday, high. Then I could do low, low, or I could just do like both days off, right? So that it's pretty much 3 days a week right there. It's 3 high CNS days, 2 to 4 low CNS days. And then if I were to make those high CNS days, let's look at this right here. I'm going to go into, all right, I have my warm up movement prep for the day first, and then I'm going to get into maybe some dynamic skips, whatever we want to call that. And then my speed block, boom, that's first on the day. So my first thing that I'm doing, this is a high central nervous system day. I'm doing speed work. I'm doing max effort sprints with complete recovery. Remember, you can't be getting tired and out of breath, feeling like it's a stamina or endurance bout if it's max effort, because it's not going to be. So with complete recovery so that you can go as fast as possible. And then power block, okay? So I warmed up. My first exercise was sprints, high CNS. Second exercise is another high CNS work, medicine ball throws, right? So you're doing explosive medicine ball work, right? If pickleball players, you're doing scoop tosses, working on like rotation, you're doing slams, different things like that. And then strength and power work, you're doing a heavy lower body movement, heavy for you, right? Like it's all relative. So maybe it's a squat. Maybe you can pair that with some accessory exercises that are super low demanding and low CNS. And then look, they're pairing it with plyometrics, another explosive and elastic high CNS movement. And then after that, they're doing some accessories, right? So they're doing upper body rows, bilateral row variations. They're doing bi or unilateral lower body exercise based off the main movement, and then a core exercise. So every exercise doesn't have to be high central nervous system, but the ones early on are, and then they add in their accessories after that. Like think about this last block is like, all right, what do I need to work on? Maybe I know I like can't rotate well up my spine. Maybe I know I have wrist issues or forearm issues that I want to strengthen, or I really need to improve my core. Think of this as like a high needs section. What do I need the most? What does Connor need the most? What do I really need to improve upon? Put exercises in there that you need to work on. And then this is a high central nervous system day. You just crushed it. It's an awesome session. You hit some sprints, medicine ball work, squats, plyometrics, and then you hit some high needs there at the end, core, whatever it may be. Okay, so let's say I just hit that session. It's Monday. I sleep. I'm a little bit beat up, which is great. It's fine. And then the next day is a lower CNS day, right? It's an easier day. I don't have to go into this session thinking I'm about to grind and get after it. Oh, this is another high CNS. I'm sorry for intermediate athletes. This one was for an advanced athlete. You can check through this if you like, just different exercises, right? And then low CNS day. So maybe it's just a movement circuit. So here's a low CNS day. For me, like I do a lot of movement circuits, mobility circuits where it's 15 minutes long, going through different stretches, core in there. It's not just like sit and stretch, hold my hamstring, but more like mobility style, right? Like I'm working through active ranges of motion, trying to get deeper ranges of motion. I'm intertwining core exercises in there. And then sometimes I'll add in some movement work, right? Like maybe we get up on our feet and we're doing some dynamic work, some skips, some coordination drills, get the blood flowing, the heart pumping as well. Sometimes just sitting on the couch and doing nothing isn't great recovery, right? If I have an awesome training session one day and then the next day I just like lay on the couch and watch Netflix, like I don't usually feel good the following day because I didn't really do anything. I have to get up and get my heart going, maybe ride the bike, do some things like that. Tempo runs is a great one. We use this in baseball a lot. I don't tell many people in pickleball to run just because we're kind of beating on the hard surface a lot. Like the last thing I want to do is be like, all right, let's go do that some more. I find other ways to do like tempo style runs. So what tempo runs are 75% bouts of running. So like what we would do is like, let's call it 100 yards. You'd run for 100 yards straight at 75%. So it's not like a jog. It's not a sprint. 75%. It's like I would say like go jogging and then go like a little harder and kind of dig in a little bit. That's a 75% run. And then you'd walk back and then perform it again. We do like, a certain amount of rounds there. It's low CNS, but you're still working on some stamina and endurance there. I like to do those on like a rower or a bike to like take away the ground contact times and the joints, just to save the joints. But those are like low CNS days. I do a lot of movement circuits, mobility, skips work, and core on these sessions. And if people are like really into vanity and aesthetics, I'll put in some like arms and like biceps, triceps work or some forearm work for pickleball level people on these days because you're not going to be fried and beat up the next day when you're going into a high session. Here's a sample session, movement circuit, right? And then you could do like some upper body. Some people like to do that, right? If you're really into vanity, upper body core, then you'll go into the next one, upper body pull. So like, let's say upper body push here first, whatever. Dumbbell bench press, dumbbell overhead press, barbell overhead press. Could be like a Palloff press, which would be core. Let's call it a pull up moved with anti-movement core, a side plank, and then, here you go, back, tricep, up, just all upper body movements there. There's actually sample programs in here. It's all baseball. You don't want those, but I just wanted to walk you through what it's like to run through the high-low model. This method maybe came out 25 years ago. I think there might be a date in here. I think it was around 2000. Charlie Francis came out with this. Like these good models like this, they don't change. Just like people have been back squatting and deadlifting for years. A lot of the simple modes and methods that have worked for the last 20 years, like in 50 years and before that, like still work today. There's things that I'm adapting and changing, but this model, I've seen success with the players that I work with today. Anna, right? Hayden, Tyra, all these different people. I'm looking at Andre up on my computer. I programmed him for the last, just month for off season. Met up with him in person and did some work as well. And then we followed this high-low model. He loved it. This is a great system and how you can program your training days and start your training so that you can just feel better going into pickleball and going into your competition. So like last thing I would say is like, if you're putting this into a week, I would do 3 days a week, high, low, high, low, high, low. It's really 5, but I always call it 3. So it's 3 high days and then 2 low days. And then if you have a competition on the weekend, just do 2. So you go high Monday, low Tuesday, high Wednesday, low Thursday, and then off, and then going into the weekend. So your last day's a low day on a Thursday, and then you're feeling your best going into the weekend. Hopefully this is super helpful. I want to give you more educational content like this. My goal is to like make this YouTube like a way for you not to hire me as a coach. If you do want to hire me as a coach and I can train you online and in person, whatever it may be, that's amazing. You can drop down in the show notes below. You can book a call with my team and we'll see if we're a good fit. I would love to. I think it'd be awesome. We help people all around the country, but I want to create resources and give you ways to not hire me. So I want to give you as much free education as possible so you can do this on your own. Get after it. Start following the high-low model.